Any guesses what's in here? I think it might be a heat press machine. We're going to take it out of the box, going to put it together, do a little bit of demonstration coming up. I'm Roger and welcome to the shop. What I have here, obviously, it says so right there, heat press machine. This was provided to me by Vevor to test and demonstrate, and that's what I'm going to do. So one of the things we probably need to do first is take it out of the box. Right on the top it says, for your safety, team lift. Okay, how much does the box weigh? It weighs about 40 pounds, so it's not too bad. It's nothing like my HPN press signature upstairs, which weighs well over 100 pounds, and I had all kinds of fun getting that carried up into the loft. Oh, let's see what we got here on the top. Well, we got some styrofoam things, and I'm going to take these parts out and lay them on the table up here so you can see what we've got. So what do you get here? Well, you get a power cord, you get a screwdriver, you get a wrench. Power cord there is for US. We got a instruction manual. We have part of the hat press. Unfortunately, I will not be able to demonstrate a hat because I don't have any hats to sublimate on. And there's the other portion of the hat press, but I will be showing how this goes together. And we have a plate press. And we have a smaller plate press. Well, I'm going to need to get this out of here. And it is mounted on it's in the box on its back. Of course, now this is going to screw all the lighting up, but I don't know if you can see that's on its back. So if you lay the box down, you'll be able to just slide that out. Need to move a couple things here first. And in the bottom of the box too is the mug press and the attachments to go with it. Let me get rid of some trash here and we'll get this all unpackaged. Here's everything you get in the box, aside for a bunch of styrofoam and stuff like that. The instruction manual, you get a Phillips screwdriver, you get a 14 millimeter wrench, power cord, 2 plate presses, hat press, mug press. And of course you have the main unit. And what do we have here? Snack pack. Do not eat, throw away. Now let's start sending candy in these things. So we'll get this turned around and I'll give you a little bit of a demonstration on it and how things go together. Not much assembly required. When you're swapping accessories, you're going to have to do a little bit of swapping, but it's not difficult. Okay, a little something to note here on the top of the press here. What I wanted to show you was this screwdriver that comes with it. These are a combination Phillips and slotted, and I happen to notice that one of these screws were loose. So you may want to check that. That can happen in shipping. It could vibrate loose. So I went to check all these. This Phillips screwdriver could stand to be the next size up. This is like a number 2 and it should almost be a number 3. But if you take the screwdriver and pull the end out and flip it around, now you have a slotted screwdriver, which also works in there. Whoops. But there again, this could be bigger. Just this works. I just say it could be bigger. Okay, if you're new to using a heat press, you need to be able to set the pressure. And depending on what project you're doing, you may want light pressure, you may want medium pressure, you may want heavy pressure. And it also matters in the thickness of your item. So right now there's nothing in here. It's just, this is nice. This is swing away, 12 by 15. Comes with a couple pressing pads. Right up here on top is a knob that you turn to increase or decrease the pressure. So right now I'm moving this down, which will increase the pressure on what I have down here. And you can look and see how much these springs compress. So this is probably I would say a light medium. I think I'm going to take that down just a little bit more, make it a medium pressure. That's about what I would call a medium pressure. It's a little bit touch and feel, but you can look at the springs about how much they're compressed. And depending, as I said, depending on what you're doing in here, if you're doing for example, a glass trivet, you're going to need to back that out because the glass will add thickness to it. Yeah, the instruction sheet that I'm saying a sheet, it's not a book, it's a fold out sheet thing, as you can see here. It pretty well explains all the different functions of this and what the different parts are. However, we'll go through it here step by step, and I'll show you how to set your time and temperature. They do give you some suggested times and temperatures here, and I'm looking at what some of them are. For example, mugs are giving you a highest temperature of 330 degrees for 40 seconds. That is way under what I do mugs at. So we'll be doing a mug, and I'm going to use my setting, and we'll see what happens. T-shirts, I always do 385 degrees at 40 seconds with sublimation paper on polyester shirts. And they're giving you 355 for 30 to 50 seconds. So there again, you're going to need to be doing some testing on whatever you're doing. Tiles, I don't know exactly what they mean by tiles here, but 330 degrees for 40 seconds. I wonder about that because that short period of time doesn't really give the substrate, being the tile or glass or ceramic or whatever you got underneath there, to get hot enough to be able to accept that sublimation ink real well, and you may end up with some blurring. So there again, you're going to need to do a little bit of testing on your own. Okay, show you here how to set the time and temperature on this. There's a little switch right here on the side you turn on. However, you do need to plug it in first. Yeah, that'll help. Okay, now that we got it plugged in, that always helps. Turn this on. Mode's a button right here. You press mode twice. That'll let you set your temperature. And I'm going to go to 385 degrees for what we're going to be doing here later. If you hold the button down, it'll scroll real fast. Press that mode button again. Now we're on time. And I think we're going to do, we'll go to 40 seconds here. That's this lower one that may not show up real good on the camera because it's the color of it. You push mode again and you're ready to go. And this is preheating, but I don't want it to completely preheat yet because I want to get some projects ready. So I'll turn this back off for right now. It does hold your settings, and that's in memory, so when you turn it back on, that will be there. Okay, we're going to change this from this plate. Oh, that still got pretty warm, even though I didn't have that on very long. This one must heat up quick. To change this, and we're going to put the small plate press on it because I just grabbed that one first. It's actually quite simple. A couple little screws here in the top, you see. Need to back them out a little bit. Don't take them clear out, just back them out about a third of the way. Then if you look on your press right here, there's a hole on each side. If you look down through that hole, you'll see a Phillips head screw. And I am using a long screwdriver because it gets me up above the handle and everything. Just loosen that screw up, probably 4 or 5 turns. And there's a keyhole slot in there. And this slips right out. And I'm going to have to lay that up this way. This also has a Teflon sheet on it, by the way, on the top plate, and that's a nice addition. That's hot, don't touch that. Now to put the plating on for doing a plate, for example, you just kind of reverse the process by lining up those screws with those keyhole slots and just slipping it right back in there. Like so. Then you would take your cable connection here, right there. It's keyed, it only goes in one way. And just tighten down the little knurled nut, and boy, that sure looks crooked, but it's in there straight. And it's just the way I'm looking at it. Oh, I didn't have it tight. There we go, that's tight. So this would be to press a graphic onto a plate. You can also use this if you're perhaps doing sublimation on some small items. fact, I may demonstrate one. We can do like a refrigerator magnet, or we could do a keychain. That way if you're only going to do a few, or you're only doing one at a time, you're not heating up the whole big press. So you would need to get things set. So obviously this is going to have to go way down, a little bit more. I like to have about medium pressure when I do magnets. So it'll be set like that. So let me go get a few supplies here, and we'll do a couple little things using the plate press here. That way, as I said, you're not having to heat up the big plate and to just do a couple small items. Something you always want to do is have a piece of parchment paper or butcher paper or protective paper underneath your project. Here are one of the coasters I'm doing, and we'll just lay another piece on top of that. We've got a couple of used pieces here that work fine for this. This is a small project, and I did swap the plating out for the larger plate because I decided to do a couple of coasters. So we'll do this here for 60 seconds. What I'm going to do is hit the start button twice there, and it will not start counting down until it reaches temperature, which is kind of interesting. Now it's starting to count down. It makes a loud beep when it's done. And it goes into what they call standby mode. We'll see how this came out. Yeah, it came out just fine. And if you do coasters, they will curl when you first take them off, but after a little bit they lay down. Wear heat-resistant gloves, you'll burn your hands otherwise. Next, I've got a couple little refrigerator magnets I'm going to do. I think I can press them both at the same time. Same time and temperature. And these are little sublimation blanks you can buy, and there'll be a link in the description. They're not expensive. I'm actually going to shut this off right now so that this cools off some. Next, we're going to play with the mug press. Okay, if you're not familiar with refrigerator magnets, this is my great-granddaughter here, and I've done these on keychains and some other things on another project you may have seen. These are a coated MDF, and it's a blank, and once you redo your sublimation on it, there is a magnet with some little sticky stuff on the back. You take the paper off and just apply that to the back, and they will stick on any ferrous surface. And that's plastic. There we go. Do the other one here quick. And so there's my other one. Now I'll get the mug press over here. We'll move things around and get that set up. For the mug press, and I've just got a setting here. This part here, in this particular model, this is the 5-in-1, not in the 8-in-1. The 8-in-1 things mount a little bit differently. This just slips in there and sets in there. So now you need to set it for your mug. So this is an 11-ounce sublimation mug here. Don't go down to your local Dollar Tree or whatever and just grab a mug off the shelf. I think you're going to sublimate to it because it isn't going to work. So we need to get some tension set here and how tight we need this. And that's a little much there. And that there's probably about right. I don't know if a 16-ounce mug would work in this or not. 11-ounce fits just fine. It looks like it might. You'd have to make some adjustments here with the thumb wheel. So now once you got your tension, you need to get the cup prepped. And now that I messed with this and grabbed it, I got to go clean it. And I clean it with just rubbing alcohol. Make sure there's no oil or anything on it. Okay, so I've got that cleaned up. I've got my graphic here. Of course, this is mirrored, and it's laid out for mugs because I make a lot of these. So I just get that set in place and get it centered where I want it. Make sure your graphic's right side up. I did print a cup upside down once. Like I said, once. I made sure I never made that mistake again. You'll need a couple pieces of heat tape. Hold that in place. So there's our prepped mug. So what I need to do now is connect this connector to the temperature controller on the heat press. So it's just a matter of unscrewing the plate press here. That's still pretty warm. Unplugging that. And plug this one into its place. I guess I need to be a little closer. Again, that's keyed. It only goes in one way. You don't need to force it. I'll turn this on. That's going to have to warm up some. And I need to go 385 degrees for 120 seconds. So we got to do some setting here. So we'll get this here warmed up. Okay, this is getting right up there to temperature. Lock it in place. The temperature will drop when you first put a mug in, as it has to heat that mug up. So don't be surprised when that happens. There's the beeper. So we'll need to release this. Now you can grab the mug by the handle and you'll be just fine. But don't touch that mug. That is hot. And also do not hot peel this. Let this cool off some before you pull your graphic off, or it may ghost on you. Cup's cooling off. This is cooled off enough now. I can take that off. And I'll show you how to put the hat press attachment on. As I said, I can't press a hat because I don't have one to press. It's not something we normally do here. So we'll need to remove that plating first. Of course, then remove the pads. You're not going to need those there. Now, up underneath here, hopefully I can get this up to show it. You see right here, there are what they call wing nuts. There's 4 of them. You need to take all 4 of those off. And it's probably easier to do with this laid on its back. Just unplug it first. Okay, once you have the wing nuts off, just lift the bottom plate off, like so. You need to put this somewhere. Oh, you'll see you got a couple studs here. You got this guy. That goes on the center set of studs, just like so. And you just tighten the wing nuts down on it. I had to raise that up quite a bit because I had it lowered down so much when I was messing with the plate press. So then this just slips in and fits back into those keyholes. But you do need to make sure you got screws backed out far enough. Tighten those back down, and of course this will connect into your power connection right here, and then you will need to adjust your pressure. I've still got that way too tight. Okay, you can get that set and you get your pressure set and you can press hats. Now I'll get the plating back on here, so it'll be reverse order of putting the base plate back on, and then a reverse order of putting the top plating on, and you don't need to see that again. See if my cup's cooled off enough yet to peel it. Looks like it has. So, see? Came out perfect. Okay, so got this all back together again. Suggestion here when you're going to put this bottom plate back on, make sure you get it on so all 4 of them are coming down equal, or you will have a problem because it could be a stinker to line up otherwise. Now I need to lower this back down some, get some pressure set correctly. So the thing I'm going to do next here is a garden flag. Turn this on, let it get warmed up. We'll have to go out and print a graphic. I'm curious what the standby temperature actually is. I think the chart that comes with the instructions is allowing for that time for the project to warm back up to the actual sublimation press temperature. I think that's why the times and temperatures are so different from what I use on my other presses. Yeah, just a little bit more. So I'm going to let that warm up, see what temperature it comes up to for a standby. And I'll go get a graphic printed. I'm going to be doing a garden flag, which is going to be similar to a t-shirt. It's just a piece of polyester. So your initial temperature should be set at 230. That's where I have it right now. And the sublimation temperature at 355 with a time of 30 to 50 seconds. I'm going to go to 50 seconds here because it's a pretty dense graphic that I'm going to be putting on there. So got it set up that way. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to having a temperature that just holds all the time, doesn't go back to the standby. This one is designed that way. That's fine. You just have to write your stuff down and keep track of what you're doing. If you're used to, like what I'm used to with Mother, especially on the big press, you have to adapt a little bit and make some adjustments. So what I need to do now is get my project ready. So I'll swing this out of the way. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit so I got room to work on it. This here is my garden flag, and normally I would do this on the big press because it is bigger than this press is. But I'm going to take this over here. It's got some wrinkles in it. We want to get rid of those. So I'll just give this a little bit of a press. Try to get some of those wrinkles out, and in case there's any kind of moisture in it. I don't have this locked down. I'm just holding it there for a little bit. We'll swing that back out of the way, and that got rid of the wrinkles. Another thing you need to make sure of when you're going onto fabric is to use a lint roller, because if any lint is on there, you're going to have little purple speckles everywhere. So you want to make sure your fabric is clean. I'm going to have to line this up carefully. I'm using a 8.5 by 14 sublimation paper. This has to be made by A-Sub. And this is what they call legal size. As I said, normally I would do this on the big one using 11 by 17 paper. So we'll get that centered. A couple pieces of heat tape here so it doesn't shift. Now something very important. Let's put a piece of paper underneath that. This is just butcher paper here, just plain old butcher paper. Get my pads back on the plate correctly. So I'm taking this to maximum size here. Get my project in here. Get it all centered, make sure everything is on the plate correctly. I'll put another piece of paper on top just in case the ink should bleed back through, which I never have that problem with A-Sub, and my project is shifted. When you're going to the max on the press, you want to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Okay, using their recommended settings. Here we go. So this won't start counting down until it reaches 355 degrees. And it did have a little bit of bleed through. That's why I always use a backing paper. That's hot. A pair of gloves sitting right back there too. There's our flag. And you can't really print on both sides of these. It's kind of a one-sided thing. They're pretty thin, but they make nice little yard decorations. And there's if you're not familiar with a garden flag, there is a stand with a rod that slips through this little thing at the top, and then this would hang in your yard. So there's a little demonstration on exactly what you can do with this Vevor 5-in-1 heat press. And as I mentioned earlier, Vevor did provide this to me to demonstrate, which hopefully I've done here, and hopefully you understand how all the parts go together. It was a little bit confusing with the times and temperatures, because if you are new to this, it isn't going to make any difference because you've never done it before. But if you've been doing this for a long time and you're used to certain times and temperatures, this sets up just a little differently, so you have to make some adjustments, as I finally figured out there as we went through this. But I don't edit out little mistakes like that. That's for everybody to see, because no one is perfect. But here's just some of the things you can make with this. As I said, I couldn't do any hats. Don't have any. It's a couple little projects you can try out for yourself. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. It always helps the channel. And regarding the mugs, the mug press, yes, this works just fine. But if you're going to do a lot of them, Vevor makes a mug press. It's automatic, and I have one. And we have made a couple hundred mugs with it. Just one right after the other. It's completely automatic. It's similar to the Cricut one, but it's cheaper. and it works well. It's not necessarily made for commercial use, but I'm using it that way anyhow. So thanks for watching. Roger in the shop. Vevor 5-in-1 press. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.